Faiza. So I started my journey as an architect in the space, and a couple of years down the line, when I was doing architecture, I was working with building design and others. Suddenly, during the urban design phase, where I realized my passion towards climate resilience, very unfortunately struck upon that path. I would say I had a professor who was very keen about it, and I worked on resilience as my thesis project. It was a dilapidated site in the southern part of India called Dhanushkodi. Most of you might have heard. So stumbled upon that site, found it very interesting to work on in the first case, and that's how the climate journey started. I would say very informally set up. Then I started learning more on how designing happens, right, as a more like a climate resilient design, and how to integrate strategies which help upgrade an old dilapidated historic site where lives were lost, where there was loss and damages, and how to design with loss and damages. So that's how I stumbled upon my path. And what we've realized through that exercise, working much closely, like more than an hour every day, and more than a year or plus now, is the climate finance gap or the investment required for the Chennai corporation to implement most of its climate actions. What we did is we took the climate action plan developed by C40, and we upgraded the baseline emissions, which were standing around 12 that time, and which was 2018 or 2019, and then we did baseline revision of the emission study, which were around 2024. It was 13.9 million tons CO2, which was already a shift upgrade from the BAU, which was in 2018. So 32 climate actions were prioritized, and just to implement 32 climate actions, which were more on high impact solutions, the rough figure is 2 lakh plus crore that's required for Chennai to implement its climate actions. I think citizens at the end of the day, or if I were a resident of a city, I'm not concerned what lies in the book or paper. It has to reflect not in annual reports. I think it has to reflect in the monthly bills that one is going to pay. And linking climate action down to local action is where the connect comes. If I were to say that, the climate action plan talks about X number of actions and 32 of them are high impact solutions, and the city needs X amount of money to invest it, fine. As a resident, I understand the city is doing great, but what am I to contribute in it is where the community linkage comes in, right? When you speak to developers, like my experience speaking to the corporates, if I could say, ESG is one angle that hits them. Most of the corporates are now mandated for their ESG, and that's how the CSR requirements are. So when you tap that scale, you are able to hit the gap and channel within. And through additional finance, which says that you can help decarbonize your entire portfolio, that's where the game begins. That's for corporates. For developers, I think sales. Money and sales is where they connect. When you're able to give them an option of you're able to sell green, but what is it in for them to take it back home? For example, if a developer is constructing green homes, what is in it for the developer to do that? Because people often assume that going green is often cost savvy and cost heavy. So it's important to crack the gap to understand green and carbon savings or reductions is not tech heavy or tech savvy and not finance savvy. It's as simple to do that. It's more affordable also to do. And with additional finance coming in, that's how it can be channeled through. If I were to pay 9% interest on a home loan, or currently I think the repo rate is 7 point something. So unlike a 7.2% or a 7%, I'm able to get a 0.5 or 0.75 reductions in my EMI or savings just by getting a green loan, like how we used to get EV subsidy savvy, which motivated a lot of us to buy EVs, right? So that top up on a loan to a green loan and helping save my EMI portion pie, which is 0.5 to 0.75 is significant, right? Even 0.15 is significant for a home purchaser or a home owner to invest in that. So that savings that's coming out of it is motivating from a bottom push approach. saying banks to also give green loans, and for the consumers to push it back saying that why don't you develop a green home because we are getting benefits out of this. For the people who are practicing in this space, it's often because of our technical expertise, we often complicate things. I think to reach to the masses is very difficult to convince people to say, do something for the climate space, no, do something green. But it's often takes a little bit more step to talk in their language and to convince them down. The opportunities that lie in the segment are great. Like as I said, the HDFC financing that we have done has pushed major masses and developers to go green. We've also invested in Axis Bank, right? Direct IFC funding through the Axis Bank for, again, not affordable housing, but more on the corporates and commercial side as well to build green. So there is finance lying in. It's just a bridge that needs to be there and more of awareness that's going to be needed. So as professionals, when we go out in this space, I think it's more important to spread awareness and sensitization on the capital is there, but you need to treat communities not as social recipients. Communities are not at the end. Communities are at the forefront of economic and key decisions that are being taken. It's more at the economic and driver level, not at the seat level, right? So I think as professionals, the simplest that we could do is spread word, sensitize, and understand what the opportunities exist. And I think that solves the problem for all of us.